Good afternoon. I am John Harder, and this is another episode on free energy and TBC. Um, the title of this episode is Free Energy and TBC, the combination that will change the world. Yeah. So, uh, okay, so in today's episode, we're again going to talk about the free energy and as well as TBC because we have we are putting these two together as a combination because free energy is and mind you, it's not just the fact that it's free. That is a nice thing about it, but what's more important is that it's healthy. It is healthy energy. Um, it is healthy, uh, generated in a healthy way, meaning that it does not, there's no pollution caused when generating it. There is no, there are no smart meters that cause cancer. There are no smart meters that blow up houses or anything because there is no need to measure or meter the energy that uh, when the unit is hooked up to your house because there is no cost to generate it, right? So metering isn't needed, and what's better, what's more, is the fact that there won't be any interruptions. There won't be any interruptions that cause, weather related interruptions or anything like that isn't going to excuse me, that there won't be any interruptions that way. So it's a wonderful way to generate free energy and healthy environment, healthy for the environment, and healthy also in the house and the environment where people are. Um, so it's an energy that is in harmony with nature when it's being generated. Um, and actually, there is nothing generated. It's only being captured from the energy that is already surrounding you, surrounding all of us. It just captures it and makes it usable. And so that is how this energy is being generated. Now, the units that we are looking to be creating are, they will be 15 kilowatt units, which are plenty to power the average household. And of course, if somebody has a shop that they would need a couple of them, that's no big deal, right? You just add, one in your house, one in your shop, and there you go. You got free energy. And now TBC, the way TBC is involved here is that we accept donations towards the project in TBC in amounts from 50 to 100, but from 200 and up needs to be fiat money because we that is the world we still live in, and that is how we're going to uh, create these units and and deliver and install and so on. Now, however, like when someone donates in fiat uh, from 200 and up, we then turn around and send them 50% of their donation in TBC, which means that it is actually a great deal for them to like if someone donates $200, that would give them the cookies equivalent for 1 TBC coin. Um, so that is the objective, so that when people donate towards it, they also benefit from those donations. Like if someone donates, like say $5,000, well, that would give them 2,500 worth in TBC, which is actually quite significant. That ends up being a pretty big amount of money. Hi there, Justin. Thank you for joining me again. So that is the objective of the way we are, planning to go about it. That's how we have already set up the website, and that's what we're planning to do. So, and then on the website is where we will have updates in videos as well as posts. We're going to make all the information available, how these things are made. That way, we're not trying to hide anything, like as to like to try to keep anybody else from making them. That's not at all what we want. Instead, if we want to make information available, that if there's other people who want to to start making them as well, by all means, we're not stopping anyone. In fact, if such would be the case, and if there's a way that we could help, we would be happy to oblige in helping others out as well. Like, say if there's parts that they would like us to make instead of making themselves, well, we would definitely be happy to be partners with people like that. Now, these units, they're fairly straightforward to build. There isn't anything very difficult about them, except there is one thing that is quite difficult, and that's the magnets, because they have magnet rings that have to be magnetized in a very, very precise way, and it isn't anything normal. Like normally magnets, they just have a north and south, and that's it. So let's say you had a north and south magnet, and you would take two pieces. Let's say you had two of them, and you would try to push the south ends back, or both of the south ends together. I think it's the. Oh, don't even quote me on that for sure right now, because I think if you try to push together a north end and a south end together, I think they don't want to go together. They push apart. But if it's south to south or north to north, they pull towards each other, right? So, but these here magnets, they are made in a very different way, because they actually have to be magnetized in a way that there is a zigzag ring, magnetized zigzag lines around the ring, which by that zigzag, it generates the power. All right, so it's those magnets are very difficult to magnetize like that in a, you know, in an exact fashion. And of course, uh, once machines will be made especially for that, it'll be easy. It'll be very easy to do. They'll be easy to you know, to magnetize and to and uh, and then of course the other materials is it's actually straightforward. The only thing that is about those materials, each one, like if you look at those rings, uh, you can see one of those units sitting in the header of my free.energy on the right side there. And if you look at those rings, there's three different layers in that ring, which is there's a magnet first. There's actually four layers. A magnet ring first on the inside. The innermost ring is a magnet. Then is Teflon, and the magnet and the Teflon have to weigh exactly the same. They have to be exactly the same in weight. The next ring around it again is a magnet, a magnetized ring. It again has to weigh the exact same thing, or the same as the other each do. And then there's a brass ring around it, which also has to weigh exactly and equivalent to each of the rings. Apparently, that is, if I understand it correctly, that is how those rings are made. Now, those little rollers that roll around them, well, they're actually the exact same thing as the big rings, only in such a very small fashion, so much smaller, but made the exact same way. Okay, and that is how this thing works, how it generates. Now, the way John Searle figured all this out was he was using the law of squares, which if you look up John Searle SEG on YouTube, you can easily find videos that explain all that. So yeah, and then so that is our aim, and then of course, to make energy free, because these units, they can also be made bigger. You can make bigger units that that can be put in vehicles, electric vehicles then, because there's cars, of course, electric cars already that they've began to make, but those all need batteries, and then you have to, you know, if the battery, like let's say you take a fairly long drive and your battery isn't charged enough, or the charge doesn't last or whatever, then I think they actually do have a backup engine, you know, or whatever. But with these units, then none of that is needed, because these units, they're first of all, the energy is free. And the next also is that they don't have wearing parts that anything wears out when they run. Because those little rollers that roll around the bigger rings to generate it, they actually once the generator runs, they don't even touch. They're running actually free from touching, so there's no friction, no wear when the unit is running. Okay, so that is basically how these units work. Now, TBC, in the process here with TBC now, as I mentioned, we the donations, that when people donate toward the project, well, we then send 50% of the donation back in TBC, which means that we actually fund 50% of the project ourselves already in TBC, and of course, then during the process, every step of the way, we are involving TBC as much as possible. For some reason, I'm just noticing that this video is unavailable. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Let me just check that. Okay, so
I'm just noticing that this video is unavailable.
okay, so there we go. For some reason it wasn't. Huh, I didn't notice that right away. Apologize for that. So now that that seems to be fixed, that's a good thing, I guess. Yeah. So the where was I? Oh, every step along the way, what we're aiming to do is incorporate TBC every step along the way to get to always try to have a partial of the payments in TBC, so that we get TBC growing in the process. And then, of course, at the back end as well, when we sell them, the units, again, we want to accept uh, part of the sales in TBC, so that we can bring TBC members in on that end as well. So we truly need to find ways to make use of TBC. Uh, I was noticing that Telegram, the token that Telegram is making, I guess it's going to be the the token. I think it's going to come into the exchanges on. Uh, I think it's in April of 2019 or something like that. I forget now. I purchased some tokens because I figured once that does come out and people start using it, because it has the same base as TBC does, except I don't know if there's any mention of gold. I never came across any of that, because I read through their white paper and they don't mention anything about backing it by gold or anything. But what they're doing is that the coin just simply increases as more people create wallets. So I guess each new wallet increases the in a small portion or a small increment of the coin. Um, so there's really, I don't know if there's any ceiling on their coin, any point at which it stops becoming worth more. What I thought was kind of interesting is that it's only a fairly low amount of coins that they're creating. Uh, in some regards, I would classify it as not actually being an abundance-based coin, just simply from the standpoint of the low number amount, like which would be the aspect of trying to create demand. And I can see it from the standpoint of trying to get the coin going up very high. The thing is, with the low amount of coins, it could not. It wouldn't be viable for it to become a global currency. Certainly nothing like TBC. However, um, I think TBC could also benefit uh, from having the price coded into the coin, where it wouldn't be possible to over or undersell it, and then have it in exchanges, because that way people could freely trade back and forth with it, and it would and the price would never be affected, because it wouldn't be possible to oversell it or undersell it. Now, I don't know if admin hasn't thought about that, or maybe that takes an excessive amount of programming. I have no idea what would be involved in that. But anyway, just it's just an idea. That's all. So anyhow, what we're doing with the with my free dot energy is to push TBC as much as we can along the way. Now, I think along the way, some of us, we're going to have to make some other ways of improvising to try and make TBC mainstream. Uh, uh, like I want to be extremely positive about TBC, and I am. I totally believe that TBC is the right currency to eventually basically become a global currency for I'm saying currency, I mean money, because it's a way more than just currency, right? But I think it will eventually totally become a global currency. However, um, either as TBC people, we're going to have to create our own economy, maybe within the TBC communities. We'll have to start doing uh, goods and services of all sorts, so that the bridge between the fiat and the TBC will end up being from the other side, if you know what I mean. People will want an on bridge instead of an off bridge, because right now, every person that people who come way. Okay, I'm kind of stumbling over my words here, but what I'm trying to say is this: people who I have talked to, one of their biggest concerns seems to be that, well, where can you use it? It's like an off ramp. How can I spend it? That's the idea. And we're saying, well, don't spend. It's only going up in price for until we reach the ultimate price. It's only going to go up, right? And so we think, well, it's foolish to spend it, but at the same time, that is not how people look at it. They want it to be usable, and so they're looking for an off ramp, and I think that eventually we're going to have an economy within the TBC community. We will have our own economy where people are going to be looking for on ramps as opposed to off ramps, if that makes any sense. Diana, thank you for joining me. And I always appreciate your comments. Yes, you're right. We'll have to be creative. And that's what I mean, is that I think that is what's going to end up happening is that as we do get creative and do start businesses and so on, we're between each other, between us as a TBC family, we trade in TBC. We don't worry about the fiat world anymore. The more we make that happen, the more is people are going to start looking for an on ramp to TBC, onto the TBC community, as opposed to the way they are now. Many of them that are here, they just want to look for an off ramp, and we are also some people that you talk to, and this is about the only thing that makes it difficult at this point for us to bring in very many people, because there's too many people that have that mindset. They want to be able to use it. They want to be able to spend it. And we're saying, well, now is not the time to spend. But people are in all sorts of situations, and they're like, well, I've got, if I have this TBC, well, then I want to be able to spend it, right? So those are some of the things that obviously we're experiencing right now, but not for very long, I don't think, because I think we're going to really, over the next couple of years, we will pretty much reach our billion, I believe, because like you say, we're going to get creative. Many of us are going to get creative, and so some of us at this point, we're going to have to use some outside money in order to get something rolling within the TBC community for it to work. As what's his name, Dan Lutz, he created a little online program, and I can see that being very attractive for people who are interested in online marketing type of stuff. But for people who are not interested in online marketing, we've got to have open doors for them too, because not nearly every person is interested in that. You know, people they want to be engaged in just conventional business, and that's great, but we need to provide for that, right? So so I'm sure there's going to be many more things that are going to happen and are going to be built within the TBC community, and many of which are going to be electronic products. For instance, like because I was thinking about creating a like sort of a program that would give people a way to pay for groceries with TBC. Now, how would a person set something like that up? Well, what a person can do is set up a website where, like a program where you can create QR codes, and you would print out flyers with a QR on it, right? And so then people could they could first of all, by scanning the QR, that would lead them to your website where you would explain and teach them about TBC and how you're doing this. And then what they could do is they could literally buy some TBC from sorry, I mean send some TBC to you, and then you would release money to the grocery store owner, as it were, you know, where where that person can then go and take advantage of, of that offer that you offer them. I don't know, just something like that. I was thinking about that something like that would be possible. I didn't really actually even plan it out or nothing. I was just thinking of ideas, right? Okay, and we have a fiat economy to TBC economy transition period. Yes, yes, that's true. However, what I would that is what, yeah, what you're saying there. That's exactly it. We're in that right now, but we're in the beginning stages, and we are at a stage right now where us within TBC, we need to really get creative and not just ask around, where can I sell it, how can I get rid of it. Instead, we need to really get creative, and I am a very firm believer that every one of us are incredibly creative. We just have to allow it to come to us, what we should do, right? Because we certainly have the creativity. So it's not going to happen. No, you're right, it will take time. It will take time, and how much time it takes will all depend on how creative we get. That's really the bottom line. It's our creativity that will bridge the gap, right? So Okay. I guess I wasn't planning on making this a long hangout tonight or this afternoon, so I have a few things I need to attend to. So I'm going to leave it at that at this point. Anyhow, that is our project. That is what we're planning to implement, and how quickly we'll be able to do it will all depend on how I guess depend on how creative we get at creating the funding for it, because that will take some money for us to go ahead and build those units, right? So in the meantime, we will do our best and get creative in every way we can to slowly build that bridge, between the two monetary systems that we're, that needs to be bridged right now for us. All right, thank you very much for hanging out with me, Justin and Diana. Thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you again tonight when on my hangout. So you have a wonderful afternoon. Peace.